Hey everyone, how's it going? Josh with Six Up Tabletop, a new video series today, taking a look at the new tabletop miniature game by Archon Studios, StarCraft, the tabletop miniatures game. So I'm Josh, and with me we have
Tim.
Tim. Awesome. Just a quick background for you guys. So we're just going to cover a little bit about the process, kind of how we got started, stuff that have us that's got us interested in StarCraft, our where we got our models. We have played some games, so interesting to just talk a little bit about how this game compares to other tabletop miniature games that we've played. Then some positives and negatives that we saw with building the models and stuff that came in the Founders Edition, which we purchased plenty of
We
stuff
are
for.
founders.
We are founders. Speaking of miniatures and where we got it, so as you guys see here on the screen, we're gonna have this is us at Adepticon. So we found out that they had at least they claim on the stream. Archon Studios said that they had about 500 of each copy. So we headed up to Milwaukee, Wisconsin, USA, and that's where we got the
It's always
models.
so fortunate. It's always so close. It's either like right down the street or it's like an hour away. So it's like you can get the pre-order
Yeah.
purchases in.
Yeah, super cool talking with the guy there. We were according to him, he said we were 10 minutes away from getting Zeratul, but we picked up the Zerg Terran starter as well as um, the Protoss starter and then a couple other. Tim, I know you got some Zerglings.
Extra Zerglings, you can never have enough.
Yep, and I got the Stalker, so excited, Pentium working on those things. So just clarification, not that it really matters, but we're no way endorsed or sponsored. We paid for everything. This review is just our own experience, and it's not vetted through Archon Studios in any way. We're just gamers who like to have a good time and tell a story and learn new miniature
Spend
games
money,
and stuff.
spend
What's
money
that?
on miniatures.
Yeah, spend money, have our wallets continually drained by all the cool stuff. All right, a little background from us, like right before we get into the game, just to kind of shape some of our commentary about how we feel about the game. So, just talk a little bit, kind of like what our goals are with this game, what we expect to get out of it, and our background in tabletop wargaming, similar products like StarCraft. Tim, you want to take it away?
I think I've always kind of been into video games, but it's like StarCraft came at the perfect time. Like I think everyone's kind of dabbled in the Brood War early era, and so like I think right at the end of high school I got into StarCraft 2, and that's like I think where my love of StarCraft came. So I started out like in bronze, and I've finished up in masters. So it's kind of like a love, deep love for the game now. So I think
Nice.
I'm expecting to get a little more competitive with it. I think we've kind of dabbled in some other games, but I think this one is like right up my alley for the mixture of like the love and for competitiveness and playing with the models.
Yeah. uh, I guess background games that you've played, tabletop games, just something that you would relate your experiences to.
True. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. I think you kind of got us into X-wing. That was like my first toes dipping into the water for like
Yeah,
miniatures, and I think that kind of slowly evolved into like Star Wars Legion, and then like we tried Armada. Didn't really fit me too well, but then we got pretty much into Legion pretty hard, and then we've kind of dabbled a little bit with bolt action. So we've done like the super competitive games, but then also the like beer and pretzels, like more like fun
yeah,
scenarios.
yeah. And for myself personally, StarCraft is. I'm actually playing StarCraft One campaign right now, just kind of like building up the hype. I do have memories of like maybe a LAN party or something actually playing StarCraft
Is your
One.
first campaign though?
Yeah,
Is this your
yeah.
first playthrough? Oh,
Yeah,
that's cool.
first playthrough. It's definitely funny, but yeah, StarCraft Two came out. I haven't played all the campaigns, but Wings of Liberty and that stuff. I probably played like 10 letter games total, and I'm like complete noob. But StarCraft has always been in like the gamer's zeitgeist of I've been in Warhammer, Star Wars, sci-fi, so it's all kind of fit in there. In terms of other games, like I mentioned, Warhammer. I for many years I played Warhammer 40K and Age of Sigmar. a lot. So that was kind of my experience in getting into war games. And then I feel like as I grew older, I've gotten to more historical games, like played some Black Powder, some other stuff that I do on the channel, more historical based. And like Tim said, we've played a lot of Star Wars Legion. That's kind of been our main miniature game, splashing in a little bolt action. We tried Marvel Crisis Protocol. There's a couple, it's like, I would say what I expect to get out of the StarCraft game is a fun game. I've always been, interested in like the alternating turns. The models are cool. It sold me on the fact that I don't have to buy rules. Like they have the maps. It just seems like a very modern approach to a game that I can purchase the models and that the game's going to be supported in the long run, and I can kind of play it at my own pace. So that's kind of what I expect. All right,
It seems
let's.
like I'm hearing that there's kind of like you've gotten more into beer and pretzels as you've gotten older. It's
Yeah,
less about the competitive and more about the scenario storytelling
yeah. I
aspect.
love the storytelling aspect about it, and we'll be interested to see what they do. If they do any campaign or anything along those lines, as well as I think just with Warhammer, it's like you gotta continually be buying things. You gotta buy the updates, buy the books and stuff. And it's like I'm hoping with this online system, it's gonna be less. Like the rules will be in one place. Maybe there'll be something you could buy, like a campaign or something to support the developers or whatever. But everything will be kind of in one place. So looking forward to that. All right, let's get into the box here. I'll have some images circling on the screen. We split. I'm a Terran, a Terran enjoyer, and Tim took the Zerg half of the box. Um, was there? Let's talk about things we liked in the box and things we didn't like. So you want to start us off, Tim?
Yeah, I think I was a big fan of like the kind of diversity of stuff in the box. Like you get a little bit of everything. You can never have enough Zerglings, so it's always good to get those out of the way and buy a bunch of them. But for me, like I'm not super into like painting and modeling, so it wasn't like a super big thing for me to have like the quality of the plastic. But
Yeah,
now that I'm like dabbling in painting, it's like okay, I can really notice the difference between this and like Star Wars Legion.
yeah, yeah. I was gonna kind of go alongside that. Like, I feel like it did feel like it was a good. Their goal was that they wanted to have like you can buy the box and you can play the box with two players and you don't need anything else. So I feel like it did do a pretty good job of meeting that criteria. Do you feel the same way?
Yeah, for sure. You can definitely get a quick game in. Maybe not like all the units you want, like the Hydralisk or the Goliath and
Mm.
whatnot, but you get definitely get a good feel for the game just from the founder's box.
Yeah, and like it came with dice. Like, I mean, you can never have enough dice, but there was at least enough dice in the box where you could like share. Like there's the surge dice in the game, and they came with a red surge and a blue surge. There was two rulers. There was mission cards for two players. So like, it wasn't like, oh, here's this box, play a game. It was like, here's this box, and also, you know, you can actually play the game. They've equipped you with the things. I don't. I mean, I feel like they were relatively balanced, but we can get into that when we talk about gameplay.
I think that was an interesting thing though. Like I was curious, like are there people who came to this game that like haven't played at all? I know people online have been talking about like StarCraft players, maybe like me coming to the game with no prior miniature experience. So like I don't know if those things are necessarily required, but it was nice to just have a little bit of extra.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. I mean, there wasn't anything particular in the box that I I didn't care for. I thought the box art was good. It really brought you in to kind of to the atmosphere of the game. I know Tim, you want to talk a little bit about the component quality with like the cardboard shits. This wasn't my experience, but I know with Tim. Go ahead.
Yeah, just some of the local guys and me were having trouble with like the cardboard punch out tokens and kind of like the a little cheap quality with some of the paper was kind of sticking to the token you're trying to punch out and I was trying to be real delicate and I think someone in the local community had like a knife they were using to punch it out just to try to make sure there's nothing was sticking and even then I think a lot of people still had problems.
Yeah, that was, I think across both of our experiences, that was like pretty much the only thing we noticed. Like the quality was good. We can talk about quality a little bit, getting into models. What was your, I guess, compared to other models that you've built and painted, how did the quality kind of align? I guess if you think to like Bolt Action or Star Wars Legion, how do you feel like the plastic lined up?
It seemed like this had a lot more detail in it, coming from the novice painter, novice miniature gamer.
Right,
These units were a little bit bigger. I think that the
for
roach
sure.
I'm painting now is like maybe one of the biggest units I've personally painted. So it feels a little bit easier with all the detail already baked into the cookie, and like I can just kind of play around with it, and I don't have to worry about too much little intricacies.
Yeah. I was gonna say for myself, built hundreds of models or whatever across the years. It's definitely somewhere towards the upper end. I still think having experience with Games Workshop plastic, I still think the like precision and the quality of their models along with the plastic is a little bit above the StarCraft miniatures. Maybe it is just the size of the miniatures where it's like they are able to capture good detail, but I think somewhere along it's like maybe a little bit above Star Wars Legion quality, but some pieces did feel a little bit blocky, and that just might be the nature of StarCraft and how the video game basically converts.
Is low res.
Yeah,
We're never gonna get a sponsorship. You're gonna have to
no,
talk.
no, I just that was just my opinion. There was when I was building, I'm trying to think of exactly which one, like the Stalker kit. There are a couple pieces that like as the edges like fit together, they it didn't exactly fit like exactly like a airtight seal. Not that it needed to, but there's a couple spots where I really needed to it was supposed to be like two edges came together, but I had to put some glue there and like really hold it and like force it together to kind of lock together. There's a couple like there's a lot of nice interlocking pieces, but you have to be very meticulous with your knife work for some of them to get like that really 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 clean seal. So that was just a little bit of a downside. It was not really a downside. It's kind of goes with any model kit, but compared to some of the historicals that I've been painting and other things like that, like you can tell, this is a very modern plastic kit, modern technology. I would say there are some mold lines from where the I guess injection was placed in the mold, and so sometimes it works really well with like the Terran. It basically aligns with some of the armor, so it just looks like it's like a crease in the armor, and so you wouldn't have to file that. But there are a couple other cases where I probably would file it down if you really want like a flat surface. But that's just maybe picky as a hobbyer.
No, I definitely had some issues. I had to do a lot of dry fitting, and then you would like, oh, this piece should go here. Like, what's going on? And then it's like, oh, there's a little nub sticking out, and like it won't fit perfectly. I was like, oh no, am I stupid? It's like, oh no, I just gotta clip it off a little bit.
Yeah. So overall, I would say purchasing the product that so far like I'm happy. I've been enjoying painting the products. I think everything paints well, primes well. Do you have any experience painting things that you liked and didn't like in that regard?
I think priming was kind of hard. I mean, I am a novice at it, so I guess you're getting a little both ends of the spectrum here.
Yeah,
But
yeah,
like, I based them on the whatever the base rather, and it was like hard to get underneath because there's a lot of like stomach surface area that was like kind of hard to reach. Not that too many people are seeing that, but
yeah,
as someone who's a little picky,
yeah, for sure. I guess the only other thing to mention, and I know we've been talking about this a little bit, is like it is really cool that this game went forward with like the clear plastic, and that was actually something I was really interested in trying and building out. Now I first started building the Terran, and so the clear plastics parts is like the lens shield on their helmets, the gun, like the gun flare, the explosions for the Terran. So there wasn't, you just paint it and then after you glue it on. Moving to the Protoss, and I know the Zerg experiences this somewhat.
the opposite.
Yeah, it's you can build the models with the clear plastic and play with them, and that's fine. Though, if you want to paint it and keep the clear plastic, you need to have like a pretty decent skills with like either a painter's putty, or you've got to be really good at taping it off in order to not like spray or get paint on the clear plastic. Like the Protoss Sentinel Sentry, excuse me. Basically, I had to paint it like piecemeal. There's probably like 5 or 6 different pieces that I painted, and then I like they were all done. I painted them, I put a varnish on them, and then I like clipped out the clear plastic, and then basically assembled. I just followed the assembly after I had painted the pieces. So that's just something. It's not like good or bad. Like if you want to have that cool glow effect in the middle of your model, like that just comes with the territory. But it is just like something to know that like once you build them, it's like, okay, now I have to be careful to either paint around them or just paint over them. And that kind of defeats the point of having them be clear plastic. So it's just something to think about.
No, the same experience. I mean, not that I painted them and brought it all together, just trying to cover it up and didn't really go too good. But we'll see how it turns out after.
Yeah. All right. So we kind of rambled and talked a little bit about the product that was provided. Let's talk a little bit about our experience with the gameplay. Now we talked a little bit about our histories playing different games. This is a IGO, or not IGO, you go. It's an alternating activation with, I guess, various different mechanics. You guys can read the rules and learn more about this. Isn't going to be like an in-depth like turn order discussion, but I just wanted to cover army building, turn structure, some pros and cons we experienced, and then like the units. Do we feel like they came across flavorful or not? So it is cool. There's an armor building website. You probably see something on the screen right now, kind of just showing a picture of it. How is army building for you, Tim? Did as we're all learning this game, to come across intuitively? What do you think?
It felt a little clunky at first, and there's kind of like no super easy way to share a list with somebody other than like kind of screenshotting part of like the PDF at the very end. But I think it was pretty intuitive, and I kind of wish they would add like the unit card in the unit muster section so I could actually kind of see maybe some of the rules like they have in some other miniature games. But I think it was pretty good. I was pretty happy with it.
Yeah, it seems like they're in the infancy stages of kind of building out what they want there, but I was also happy with it. It aligns like other model games where you, instead of points, let's say we played 1,000 points, this is 1,000 minerals, and you supplement your minerals with gas, and you basically buy like buildings from the game, and those buildings give abilities that you can use for your faction, or they can empower different units on the board, and it kind of replicates in a cool way kind of different strategies that you might have with the different races in the game. So I thought it was really smart, and how they incorporated the
The
different.
card art was big for me. That was
Yeah.
super cool to see some of like a six pool or a proxy route barracks. It's like cool to see things from the video game really brought to life through the cards too, just like the way they interact as well.
Yeah, for sure. All right, turn structure. So if you guys don't know that, the turn structure, I might get the wording wrong, but there's basically a move phase, and so everybody moves, and then it moves into an assault phase, which is a shooting phase, or you can also run in that phase, and then there's a combat phase where it's basically melee, and then there's a cleanup phase where you score. Any kind of initial thoughts? Because I only played one game against you, and I lost to the Zerg Overlords, but I know you had gotten an extra game in, so how'd you feel about the turn structure?
I really like that you go back and forth. I think I've kind of only played games like that, but it was really cool to go into like move phase into assault phase, and like there's a little dynamic of who passes first and
Yeah,
who gets the first player. Like an assault is such a big deal.
yeah, yeah, for sure. It was the one thing I noticed was from like playing Warhammer. It was like, oh, I want to run my unit. Well, I just do their move and then like double it, or like do that +6 or whatever. But in this game, it's like you move during the moon phase, and then assault is like you either shoot or like you can run, which is you get to do another move. But the moves seem less, but it's interesting because it feels like the phases really break down some of the like standard gaming tropes into, it felt like it broke it down into like smaller sections, and like each of those sections you can like react. So if you're trying to race and catch something, if they stay then you can run, or if they shoot then you can shoot. It added a lot more decision making than I initially thought as we played. It was like, oh, should I, the first turn you might just spread across the board. But I was surprised by how, different avenues that it offered, just the different decisions. Like if I fight here, that means that I have to give up the fight there. Now that's not something that we haven't seen in Star Wars Legion or anything, but yeah.
I guess that brings part of like into order control. Do you like having control of your units, or do you miss some of that like RNG of going to the stack to try to figure out who you want to play with next?
Yeah, that's true. I mean, as someone who did not play CIS, which is nefarious for not
Total
ever. Oh,
control.
yeah, total control. I liked having. I think chance sometimes is good. Like in bolt action, you pull the dice out of the bag, and so that's unique because it's like you could go a bunch, and then they could go a bunch, and it's never fixed. But I mean, I didn't have any problem with it. Um, I feel like it made for very important decisions, and it felt like both players knew that. It's like, okay, this activation is important for both of us. There, we have two activations left. We each do this. This next one is going to be like, if I do this, they're going to do that. So it kind of creates tension within itself by taking away that randomness. So I thought it was a good thing.
It can definitely be really frustrating when like you're looking for that one unit to go and you just cannot pull it. And I think that'd be such a bad feeling if you're having to keep pull dice instead of passing to go to the next, like to be first player in the next round. That could be so painful.
Yeah, for sure. Overall, pretty good. All right, let's talk about unit flavors, rule flavors. I don't know if we want to give any examples off the top of our head, but you definitely have more experience in the StarCraft with the different units and stuff. Um, so your thoughts on if you felt like the video game players would be able to relate to how the models and units were represented on the table.
No, it feels so good. It feels like I'm playing the video game. There's like a lot of back and forth, and the units play just like they feel, and it's such a good itch to like get it into the models. That's why I feel like I'm gonna go try to go competitive because I feel like a lot of my skills will transfer over.
Yeah, yeah. That was like even like the first game. Like it was cool moving up with the Marines and having them shoot. I was like, all right, feels like like you can stim them, you can lose health, the medics can heal. Like I can just literally see it as if it's like right off the video game. And the coolest thing was like excuse me, I'm getting choked up about it. The coolest thing
Emotional.
was the queen putting down and like the Zerg spreading the creep, and like it's just like a tangible thing on the game that you'd be able to track movement. Like all of a sudden the Zerglings, everything gets faster on the creep. It's just like, okay, it makes sense. You can tell that it's made from developers who really love the source material, who take pride in the source material, and it's just really really cool, and happy to see that.
I think if we're gonna play again, because I played someone else, I played a ZVP, and I had a more swarm kind of Zerglings, and it was just like, oh my gosh, you really get that feel of like three zealots versus 18 Zerglings, and it's just like, oh my gosh.
Yeah, yeah. All right, and finally, just overall impressions of the game, things that we liked, things that we didn't like. We talked about it a little bit, but just like high level or focused takeaways just from the gameplay.
I think the biggest takeaway from our game was surges are so important, and it's so good to like push through that damage.
Yeah, yeah. There was the pros. I mean, there's not much more to say about the pros. The first game, it did feel like there were a lot of rules that I had to try to reference. So I would recommend like just take it unit by unit, go through the options that you have. There's a lot of units that you can activate at any time. Basically, if you have the command points, or Protoss and Zerg have their own term for it, but it's like I probably had like 10 to 12 rules, even in this like the skirmish game at 1,000 points. That it's like I could have them go go go. I could stem them. I could do. There's so many options for me, which is good. But when you're learning the game, it's okay. Just take it slow. Try to maybe just focus on a small set. That's kind of what I did, and I'm like, okay, next game I'll try to expand it more and more.
I think that was the good part. A lot of the rules feel like, how does it work in the video game? Like, yeah, that's pretty much how it works in the board game here too, where it's the rules transfer over, so they make so much sense as someone who came from the games.
Yeah. Well, unless you have anything else to say, that's basically a summary of our experience. Hope you learned something, or hopefully you shared in some of our experiences. If you're excited for the game, let us know. If your experience differ, or you felt similar, or you've come from other games like Star Wars Legion or Warhammer, just give us a shout in the comments. Probably do some painting videos, maybe do some gameplay video or a battle report or something in the future. But that's pretty much all we got. You got any closing thoughts, Tim?
No, just really excited to play the game. I hope everyone else enjoys it as much as me, so we can keep this game going, keep the train going.
Yep, sounds good. All right, everybody. Thanks for watching. We'll see you in the next video.